And the next topic is subnet. So actually, when an authority assigns an organization an address to an organization, it seems the entire organization is a single network. Okay, single network address will be assigned for the entire organization, right? And within that organization, it can have multiple machines, and all are grouped together as a single network. But that may not be the requirement of different organizations. Just for example, in our campus, suppose at the initial stage only main block will be there, and it requires for one a network address, and it assigned a network address, say class B address itself. And later different departments are developed and different geographical region, right? So it's very difficult to combine all these together as a single network. The limitation of the length of the cable and all, it will limit the extension of network, right? So definitely a new network should be formed in different departments. So each and every department may require its own network. But a lot of addresses are there in the main network. Already we assigned a class B, right? Lot of addresses are there. And how can we utilize these addresses to this new network? At the same time, the entire organization should be appear as a single entity to the external world. Okay, how can it be done? This is done using this subnetting technique. So within the organization, it can divide the entire set of addresses into subnets. Okay, and it can assign different addresses or a block of address to different local networks or local subnetworks. So this subnet allow a network to be split into several parts for internal use, but still act like a single network to the outside world. And these parts of the networks are actually called subnets. Just for example, in a campus, we can see that from ISP, a single address is actually allocated. Single network address is actually allocated. Maybe a class B address. And within that organization, different department is having different local networks. Okay, and each network is connected to the main router. This main router is connected to the ISP. Okay, so all the packet from external world is coming through this main router, and this router will contain a table. Okay, and that table will map that particular packet address to the subnet address. Okay, definitely some subnet mask will be required in this case. So this is how the subnetting is actually done. Okay, each and every department is actually having a separate network, and it acts as a subnet. We will see an example for that also. So when a packet comes into the main router, how does it know which subnet to give it to? Okay, right, just for example, instead of having a single class B address with 14 bits for the network number and 16 bits for the host number, this is a normal case division, right? Some bits are taken away from the host number to create a subnet number. So for the entire organization, if it is receives a class B address, definitely the highermost 14 bits represent the network number, right? Which we can't change, right? That will be unique for every machine within the entire network. Which part is actually flexible for us? The remaining 16 bits which represent the host number, right? So that part we are again manipulating. There are some bits are taken away from the host number to create a subnet number. Okay, just for example, if the university has 35 departments, it could use 16-bit subnet number and a 10-bit host number, right? So entire set of hosts we are again grouping into subnets. Just for example, if the university has 35 departments, how many subnets or how many sub networks should be there? Yeah, definitely 35, right? So how many bits should be there to represent these networks? Actually, 35. If you take a power of 2, we need 64 bits. 32 is not enough. So next one is 64, right? So 6 bit 2 raised to 6 is 64. So 6 bits are required to represent this network number, right? So first 6 bits can be used to represent this subnet number. Then the remaining 10 bits, totally we have 16 bits, right, in a class B for host number. So 6 bit for subnetwork and the remaining 10 for representing the host number. Like that we can divide this subnets. Okay, so that is how this is actually divided. So how many hosts can be there within a subnetwork? So each department can have 2 raised to 10 actually. In that all zeros and all ones are actually special purpose addresses, right? Those two cannot be used. The remaining 1022 different machines can be there in every subnet. That means each department can have 1022 machines. Okay, like that we can have 64 different departments. or 64 different subnets. But currently we are using only 35. Okay, this is how this actually hierarchically organized. You can see here we have received actually class B address for the entire network, in which the first 16 bits, the first 2 bits actually fixed, and the remaining 14 bits represent actually the network number that will be unique for every machine within this campus, irrespective of the corresponding department. And the change is there in the subnet and host ID. And the subnet, this subnet part will be same for all the machines within a subnetwork, within a department. Only the host number can be used to identify different nodes or different machines within a department. So of course, 2 different hosts can have the same host number, provided they are belonging to 2 different subnetworks. So their subnet ID will be different. Now let us see some example for the subnet addresses and all to remove your confusions. Actually, in our example, we have 35 different subnets, right? Among those, 3 different subnets are taken here as example. So subnet 1, you can see here that the entire address, the first part, the first 16 bits is actually network number, which is all the hosts within this campus, right? So this red color part actually represents the network number. That will be the same for every subnets and every machine. So you don't bother about that. For every subnet, the subnet ID, the next 6 bits will be unique. So all the zeros will be we won't use because it's actually reserved. Okay, so for host address and also subnet address, all the zeros will not be used. So the first subnet ID is actually 1. So this is the subnet ID for the first subnet, and host number starting from 1 to all 1. We cannot use the all 1 address because it's the broadcast address. Just before that, this number will be the last address assigned, right? This much will be the range of addresses which can be used for the host machines within this subnet. Like that, the next subnet, this is the subnet ID 2. Okay, subnet ID 2 and host again ranging from this much can be used as the host numbers here. Like that, every subnet can have this much host. This is actually totally we have 10 bits, right? 2 raised to 10 minus 2. All zeros and all ones have to be avoided. So 1022 different addresses can be there in every subnet. So this is how different subnets are actually organized. Next one is subnet mask. So we have seen address mask, right? So a router, when receive a packet, it should identify the corresponding network. For that, we are using the address mask to get the corresponding network number alone. And then consulting the routing table of the router, you can find which interface should be used for that particular network. But here in case of subnetting, this network number is not enough, right? For the router which connect this entire campus network to the outside world. Upon receiving a packet to this campus network, it should identify to which department this packet belongs, to which subnet this packet belongs, right? For that, it should identify the subnet ID also, right? Not the network ID alone, it should identify the subnet. For that, we are using the subnet mask. So it indicates a split between network plus subnet number and the host. So it will give a number which is actually the network number plus subnet number. Total will be given. So obviously the routing table for this router should contain an entry for every subnet ID, right? For this particular subnet ID, which interface should be used. Like that, an entry should be there in the routing table for this particular router. Just for example, the subnet mask can be written as 255.255.252.0. How it came actually 252 in the third part? Yeah, we can see here, this is actually the network number, right? So this should be definitely all ones to get the network number. So this part is all one, that means 255. This part is also all ones, that is 255. And what about this part? Only the first 6 bits will represent the subnet ID, right? So that part also should be 1, and these 2 bits represent the host number, right? And so these 2 bits and the remaining all these 10 bits should be 0. So that should be the corresponding mask used in subnet. That means 255, again 255. Here all these 6 bits are 1s, then these 2 bits are 0. So the corresponding decimal value is actually 252. Okay, then this is totally 0, that means 0. So 255.255.252.0, that will be the subnet mask. An alternative representation is we can use the slash notation. So how many bits will be 1? Yeah, you can see here 8 plus 8 plus 6. that is 22 bits should be 1. So slash 22 means this much bits should be 1 and the remaining lowermost bits should be 0. That should be the address mask used. Okay, so you can see here, this is our example in which this is a mask used. All the first 22 bits are 1 and remaining will be 0. So when a router receives a packet whose destination address will be extracted, then this mask will be applied. It will be boolean ANDed with this subnet mask. What it will get? The corresponding network number plus subnet number, right? And that subnet number can be used as an index to find the interface or to find the subnet to which this packet actually belongs, to the department to which this packet actually belongs. Then within that local network or within that department, the host number of the packet can be used to identify the particular machine within that subnetwork. Just for example, suppose the router which connects the ISP to our campus network receive a packet whose packet destination address is this. Okay, so this router should find out to which department or to which subnet this particular packet belongs, right? So it will use this as the subnet mask. Okay, as you remember earlier, this is the pattern used, right? All the 22 bits in the higher order part will be 1 and the remaining will be 0. When these two are boolean ANDed, what we'll get? This part we will get this, the network part plus subnet number. And the corresponding router will contain the corresponding entry for each and every subnet number. You can see here, this is the main router which connects this campus to the ISP. So every packet from the outside world will receive through this router. And this router will contain a routing table and which is indexed for every subnet. For a particular subnet, which interface should be used, like that. Okay, just for example, here the subnet 1, we have the subnet number, like network number will be this, which is common for every machine, and this is actually subnet number. For this subnet number, interface 1 should be used. That packet should be forwarded to this interface. Like that, for every subnet, there will be an entry in this routing table of the main router, and which will forward the corresponding packet to the corresponding subnetwork. So this is how the subnetting system works. And in the next session, we will see the classless addressing. What are the different flows of this classful addressing and why we are moving to classless addressing. Thank you.